In Thornton Township, a tense special meeting with several trustees backing ordinances they say were about increasing accountability and preventing unapproved spending by the township, which is run by Supervisor Tiffany Henyard. She's also the mayor of Dalton and under federal investigation for alleged misuse of municipal funds.
You know what happened in Vegas. You know what happened. And you should be addressing it, saying something to the residents about it.
I have cancer. Of course I do. Tiffany stole money from a cancer foundation. How dare you? How dare you steal? And I helped you with your campaign. How dare you steal from us? I had to buy my wigs. Are you going to reimburse me for the wigs that I've been spending my money on?
And they say that you're the worst mayor in America. I agree.
The village of Dalton is more than $3.5 million in the hole. Mayor Tiffany Henyard is accused of misusing money, and today, she's nowhere to be found.
Tiffany Henyard has been backed into a corner as she now needs to repay the money she stole as mayor. Just last week, some explosive news hit the headlines involving the embattled Dalton dictator, Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Henyard, who's been facing fraud accusations and criticism over lavish spending, got hit with a serious betrayal from someone she thought was on her side.
WGN Investigates has learned South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard has lost another key ally. Until recently, Henyard enjoyed near unanimous support on the Thornton Township Board, but now trustee Carmen Carlisle says after trusting Henyard and remaining silent, she will be a whistleblower against Henyard.
Thornton Township Board trustee Carmen Carlisle, a former assistant to Henyard, broke her silence and accused the 41-year-old mayor of some pretty shocking behavior. Carlisle called out Henyard for unethical and predatory behavior aimed at boosting her influence in the community.
There's a real-life Parks and Rec situation going on in a small village outside of Chicago, thanks to this mayor, Tiffany Henyard. And with George Santos leaving the House, this is the new, funniest, most corrupt politician in the United States of America. I learned about Tiffany today when I read an article about the ordinance she's putting in that states if she loses her re-election to be mayor, the mayor's salary will be decreased from $225,000 to $25,000. But if she wins, it will stay the same. When I read that, I realized I had to learn everything about this woman. And as it turns out, the 90% pay cut doesn't even crack the top 10 of the most corrupt things that this woman has done in a short year that she's been the mayor of Dalton, Illinois. If you're on a highway near Dalton, Illinois, you will see billboards of Tiffany Henyard. These are all billboards that are paid for by taxpayers, and they advertise things such as senior services and free fresh produce. But Tiffany always puts her face and name in huge letters opposed to the actual thing it's advertising in order to get her name out there.
Carlisle wrote to WGN, "I'm speaking out against Mayor Henyard, who I believe has been using her position to manipulate employees, vendors, and residents for her personal gain, all while taxpayers foot the bill for her so-called success."
Jim and Marie, former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is the special investigator in this case. And like we first told you last night, not only did she find the village of Dalton is in significant debt, but she also found the village's credit card spending is out of control. Mayor Tiffany Henyard didn't respond to any of my requests today, and I'm told she's not in the building. No response to repeated interview requests. I tried to track down Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard in person today. Village employees told me she wasn't in the office and didn't say when she would be, a day after this. A packed community meeting Thursday night, outburst after outburst. Following special investigator Lori Lightfoot's limited examination of Dalton's finances. Her report revealing as of May 31st, the village's general fund had a negative balance of $3.65 million. Lightfoot originally hired by trustees concerned about spending, like self-promoting taxpayer-funded billboards, ads, plus spending on lavish dinners and trips.
Why are we going to these places? What's happening here?
Dalton trustee Brittany Norwood sat down with the CBS News Chicago investigators in February, telling us then trustees were denied requested bank statements.
You're
reaction that we did when we saw her.
Henyard, who's been mayor since 2021, has been facing mounting allegations about misusing public funds.
Tiffany recently went to Las Vegas with a few of her friends to attend a conference. While there, she spent all of this money on airfare, hotels, and then money at restaurants like Ruth Chris's, Cafe Hollywood, Hot and Juicy Crawfish. And this was all paid for by the taxpayers because she was there attending a conference. She also spent a fair amount of money at Bubba Gump's shrimp company, and then she brought the hat that she bought there to her town council when she was being questioned about the money she spent in Las Vegas. Afterwards, Tiffany was asked by the local news station about her time in Las Vegas. I just want to remind you before you watch this clip, this is not a show. This is real life. This is not comedy. It's not a skit.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Were you?
It's not paid by them.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
She's also recorded a music video with taxpayer dollars. It's not even her own song, it's just her singing over it. This is a legit comedy show. I can't wait for the documentary about this. Look at her with the cops. And the crazy thing is, all the things I've mentioned, it's only the tip of the iceberg with her.
Carlisle, once a trusted ally, admitted she kept quiet about the mayor's extravagant trips and spending because she trusted the administration until now. The trustees have even taken action, voting to put limits on spending for special events and tightening up access to credit cards.
With credit card spending out of control.
Receipts for credit card purchases are rarely provided.
Lightfoot further uncovering spending that doesn't add up. The report shows $40,000 spent on Amazon purchases in one day, money that's unaccounted for.
These are somebody using one of the credit cards.
Another question lingering here, money spent on police overtime, with 2 officers racking up 6 figures in pure OT, $108,000 and $114,000. The deputy chief, just fired here last week, Louis Lacey, paid $96,000 in overtime.
The village has been unable to pay all of its monthly expenditures with available cash balance.
I reached all of the village's trustees in reporting this story today. As of right now, I have not heard back from one of them. Of course, we also haven't heard back from Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Carlisle didn't hold back, adding, "I'm speaking up for all the people who've been hurt by Henyard's leadership, many of whom haven't come forward yet." But Henyard wasn't about to take this quietly. During a heated meeting on August 15th, she lashed out, even giving Carlisle a new nickname, Lion Carlisle. She made it clear she's fed up with all the accusations and drama, saying, "I'm tired of everyone in here. There always has to be a show." That would not be the first time Tiffany was embarrassed publicly.
Another contentious board meeting in the village of Dalton drew frustrated residents demanding answers from embattled Mayor Tiffany Henyard about village spending and more.
Casey Cronus is live there tonight with the very latest. Casey?
Tia and Scott, interruptions, shouting, and disorganization are par for the course at village board meetings here in Dalton. And tonight was no different. It didn't take long for tensions to escalate. And by the meeting's end, at least 3 women were kicked out by police after Mayor Tiffany Henyard said they were behaving out of order. More would have been accomplished tonight if not for various delays. At the start of the meeting, Henyard asked everyone who was already seated to get up and go through the metal detectors again. Her reasoning, they had not yet been turned on. Several agenda items were pushed off until the committee of the whole meeting, including a motion to sell 3 Chevy Tahoes and 1 Ford Expedition that trustees say will cost the village upwards of $700,000 by the end end of their 5-year leases. What was approved, however, is a village credit card spending freeze. Trustees say this will allow only the Director of Administrative Services to use the village's credit card on board-approved purchases. They say there will also be a cap of $5,000 on any given purchase.
Watching as this village being ran into the ground by this woman is pissing me off.
The fact that you would even make us get up out of our chairs after we've already sat down and got comfortable to even go back through a metal detector because you wasn't here on time to say that, oh, they shouldn't have been let in. No, you should have been here to let us in.
This village deserves so much more than what it's getting. From an outsider looking in, y'all are being hoodwinked, bamboozled. When that say things about me, I want you to prove it. Because, like I say, fact versus fiction.
Something we don't typically see at these village board meetings, Cook County Sheriff's deputies. While they remained outside during the meeting, the Cook County Sheriff's Office confirms to us that they were requested by Dalton Police for additional support.
Carlisle, who was appointed to her trustee position in May 2023, said she didn't start questioning the spending until she lost trust in Henyard's leadership. Henyard fired back, reminding Carlisle that she was on the board and never raised these concerns before.
Most corrupt mayor Tiffany Henyard got called out by the firefighters for stealing their paychecks.
And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves.
Which leads us to inform the residents that we've been serving the village without a contract for 5 years. Currently, the village still refuses to negotiate, making progress extremely difficult and if not impossible. Once this was discovered, the administration was informed via email by the previous union president that these missing deposits can be considered theft of wages. To this date, we are still 9 to 10 deposits short. This shows lack of accountability and is an act of gross negligence.
According to reports, Carlisle and trustee Chris Gonzalez had been pushing for a special meeting after their repeated attempts to add items to regular meeting agendas were ignored. They've been asking for financial records ever since Henyard took office. Henyard, meanwhile, has denied any ownership of the Tiffany A. Henyard Cares Foundation.
Now being investigated by the Illinois Attorney General. The South Suburban politician, who the charity is named after, is now denying direct involvement in the foundation that bears her name.
All I can tell you is that I'm not the one on anything. That's the only thing I can tell you right now. So I'm just trying to answer to the...
So you're saying there's a foundation that's not registered, but it has nothing to do with you?
Correct. That's true.
Okay.
That's
so you're not aware of any of the work that they've done, money that they've raised, anything along those lines?
Correct.
Okay.
Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard appeared on Roland Martin Unfiltered on YouTube last night. It comes after WGN Investigates reported the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation claims to support cancer patients but hasn't filed required financial disclosures to say how it raises or spends money. Henyard's claim that she's not involved in the foundation is contradicted by statements at public meetings and social media videos she's posted. As we've reported, her top advisor was also listed as the charity's registered agent. The Attorney General has ordered the foundation to stop soliciting money and is threatening legal action. Nearly all of the money a South Suburban politician's cancer charity claims to have received in its first few months of activity came from taxpayers. It's the latest example of questionable spending by Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who also serves as Thornton Township Supervisor. The Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation was created in the fall of 2022 and heavily promoted by Henyard. The township board she oversees gave the foundation $10,000 days after its creation. A new filing with the Illinois Attorney General says the foundation only raised $3,000 additional dollars. WGN Investigates has previously reported thousands more dollars were charged to township credit cards during the charity's walk to Springfield. Henyard tried to distance herself from the foundation in a recent interview, claiming she had no involvement in the group's activities. The Attorney General has ordered the foundation to stop soliciting money because it still hasn't submitted tax filings to show how it spent money.
To add to the controversy, earlier last month, Dalton's deputy police chief, Lewis Lacey, a close ally of Henyard, was hit with a 9-count indictment for bankruptcy fraud and other charges. He's accused of hiding assets and income to dodge creditors and avoid paying a lawsuit settlement, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois.
Mr. Lacy is absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I think the government likes to bring as many counts as possible, just so the media will say that he has been charged with 9 counts.
As for Lacy's appointment as chief, well, Dalton trustees, a majority of them tell me that they're talking to legal counsel right now to consider their next steps. As for Thornton Township, still no budget here. That is one of the issues that likely will be tackled at the next meeting. That happens next Tuesday.
Tiffany Henyard moved forward with appointing a new village administrator and a new village attorney, despite the fact that the regularly scheduled Board of Trustees meeting was canceled due to a lack of attendance. ABC 7 Chicago reported.
Not only did Mayor Tiffany Henyard make the hire without consent from the board, we're learning tonight the newest employee has a storied past.
Dane Placco has been following this. He joins us now with this exclusive story. Dane.
Yeah, within hours of Mayor Tiffany Henyard appointing a new village administrator last night, allegations were surfacing about his background, including some startling allegations of inappropriate behavior.
My next appointment will be for village administrator.
Last night, Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard appointed a new top aide to a $100,000 a year job without board consent. 34-year-old Michael A. Smith, who's been active in South suburban politics for years.
The reason for Mike is he have a wealth of great information. He's a young person and ex-politician. He knows the laws like the back of his hand.
Perhaps that's because Smith has been in and out of trouble with the law for years. Public reporting shows Smith has been charged at least 8 times with crimes ranging from domestic battery to official misconduct. In 2012, Smith, then a young trustee in Dixmoor, resigned after pleading guilty to theft when he allegedly stole gasoline by posing as a police officer. Then in 2018, Smith was working as an assistant dean at Thornton Fractional High School when he was fired for sexual harassment of a female student, grooming a student with lascivious intent, and inappropriate aggressive behavior towards a male student. According to his termination letter, Smith was accused of contacting a 15-year-old female student on Snapchat with inappropriate comments and making her his girlfriend.
It gets even worse.
We have a constant pattern of her hiring people without doing a proper background check and presenting it to the board. And that's our issue. That could pose a great danger to our community.
Dalton trustees Brittany Norwood and Tammy Brown
is alarming.
Were not at last night's meeting when Smith was appointed. The 4 Dalton trustees opposed to Henyard postponed the meeting and say none of the action taken was legal.
It's very interesting, considering the fact that she didn't have a quorum. So I don't understand how someone could be appointed.
Smith is replacing Henyard's previous hand-picked village administrator, Keith Freeman, who fell out of favor after he was charged with bankruptcy fraud and is now believed to be cooperating with an FBI investigation into Henyard. But Freeman is apparently still on the village payroll and filling the job.
So can you have a second village administrator?
No. We don't have the finances for that. As you all know, we are definitely in a financial bind, and we cannot afford 2 village administrators.
Now, late this afternoon, Smith responded to these allegations through Bo Brindley, who is serving as Henyard's criminal defense attorney in her other case. Smith saying through Brindley that he was cleared of any wrongdoing in the matter at Thornton Fractional High School by DCFS. He also says all the charges in those other cases we talked about were dropped, save one in which he pled guilty and paid a $50 fine. And he goes on to say, and this is through the mayor's statement, says Mayor Henyard renounces efforts by any individual to denounce a man's character based on unfounded allegations and charges that have been dismissed. Now, Smith was already working today at Dalton Village Hall when we stopped by there earlier. Trustees say they are going to try to block that appointment when they meet again.
During Tuesday's gathering, Mayor Henyard spent much of her time touting her achievements and calling for change in the community. "We ought to fight now to take our community back," she declared, promising to address the misinformation through a State of the Village address, according to the Chicago Tribune. However, I doubt misinformation is the problem, considering Henyard's history of problematic behavior.
Here she is starting a Dalton Village board meeting dressed like the Wesley Snipes character in the movie New Jack City. Later punctuating her political points with the help of her own DJ.
Every single resident. Pay me what you owe me. Thank you, DJ.
Henyard's picture and name adorn virtually every public posting, both from Dalton, where as mayor she makes $46,000 a year, and in Thornton Township, where as the elected supervisor she collects more than $200,000 a year. But for all that money, Henyard's tenure at both has been chaotic, with firings, scandals, and a legal battle with the Dalton trustees over spending. So last fall, Henyard did something that would seemingly generate some good publicity. Stephanie Wiedemann is the former Thornton Township Chief of Staff, whom Henyard fired shortly after taking over in March of last year.
It almost felt like a takeover, and
because it was
a very aggressive one at that.
Since her firing, Wiedemann has been documenting township spending and says she's stunned by the taxpayer dollars funneled into Henyard's charity, especially this.
We got 10 days. We're going 196 miles.
Last October, Henyard led a delegation of Dalton and Thornton Township employees and political supporters on a march to Springfield to promote her breast cancer charity, which she documented on her Facebook page.
We're walking through Dalton. All right, we're in Brightwood now. We are in Godly now. We in Bloomington, baby.
Girl, just
I can
scamming.
pretty much map out their entire Springfield trip on the township credit cards.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard is one of the most corrupt ever. She actually hired a child offender, overpays her police officers. She overpays her police officers to be her security, which what do you need that much security for? You're a mayor of a town with about 20,000 people. One of the officers was paid $13,000 in 2 weeks for 300 hours of overtime. Because nobody believes that. Nobody believes that anybody worked 300 hours of overtime. So this has to be investigated because it looks like these numbers were being padded. So the chief of police, or the ex-chief of police, had his attorney investigate these claims, and they're standing behind them that there were allegations of corruption, and he was investigating them.
The Illinois Department of Human Rights launched an investigation after 2 complaints were filed against the Dalton mayor's office. One came from a former assistant who claimed she was sexually assaulted by a trustee by the names of Andrew Holmes during a taxpayer-funded trip to Las Vegas, according to WGN-TV.
We spoke briefly to Holmes this afternoon, who said he had, quote, "no response at this time, not to these allegations. I'm not bothered by it."
Very overwhelming. At first it was like it was just me by myself. And a year later for me to see y'all standing with me here for thank you so much, Mom. This means so much to me. But I still want everybody to know I'm standing with you too if you're a survivor with me. Please come stand with me.
Outside the village of Dalton, residents eager to address Mayor Tiffany Henyard and her administration. Inside, about 50 seats for residents. 10 people did speak during public comments, once again demanding Henyard and her administration resign. Residents spoke about wanting justice for unsolved murders, the current sexual allegations, and simply wanting answers about the village's finances. All of this comes as 5 subpoenas have been served to the village, asking for payments, expense reimbursements, and credit card expenditures involving Henyard and her top assistant, Keith Freeman. Now, subpoenas also indicate the FBI is looking into complaints by Dalton business owners whose license requests have been rejected. Henyard's charitable donations are also under review. Now,
these serious allegations only intensified the calls for Henyard's resignation. But will she? Let us know in the comments.